You're about to discover something 99% of men will never understand. The hidden trigger that makes women addicted to a man, not his looks, but not his money, not his status, but one psychological shift that flips the script entirely. And if you ignore this, you'll stay stuck in the cycle of chasing, begging, and wondering why she always loses interest. But here's the truth. Women don't fall for what you do. They fall for how you make them feel. And when you master this feeling, she won't just like you, she'll obsess over you, she'll chase you. She'll fight for your attention, because once you unlock this, you won't just attract her, you'll own her emotions. I'm not talking about manipulation, I'm talking about human nature, deep primal wiring that most men never tap into. And today, I'm handing you the key, but pay close attention because this isn't some cheap pickup trick. This is the difference between being just another option and becoming the man she can't forget. The man who lingers in her mind long after you're gone. The man who makes other guys seem boring by comparison. And if you think this is hype, think again. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why some men have women chasing them while they ghosted after one date. This isn't luck. It's strategy, it's psychology, and it's waiting for you to claim it. So lean in, turn up the volume, and get ready because what you're about to learn will change everything. Let's begin. Let's start with something fundamental, something so deeply wired into human nature that we often overlook its power. When a woman feels truly seen by you, not just noticed, not just acknowledged, but understood at a level that goes beyond words, something shifts in her perception of you. It's not about flattery. It's not about performing some scripted routine. It's about the profound psychological truth that people, and women in particular, crave recognition not of their surface, but of their essence. But if think about it, how many men actually see the women they interact with? Most are distracted. They're scanning the room, half listening, formulating their next response while she's still speaking. They're physically present, but emotionally absent. And women feel that they sense when a man's attention is divided, when his focus is transactional rather than transformative. But when you lock in, when you give her the rare gift of your undivided presence, you communicate something extraordinary. You matter. What you say matters. Who you are matters. This isn't just about romance. It's about human dignity. We all want to be witnessed, to have someone look at us and see the complexities, the contradictions, the unspoken dreams and fears. When you do that for a woman, when you listen not just to respond, but to understand, you create a connection that transcends the superficial. Most men never do this. They're too busy trying to impress, to prove themselves, to take rather than give. But the man who masters the art of presence, he stands out, not because he's louder, but because he's deeper. Now, let's break this down further. What does it actually mean to make a woman feel seen? It starts with eye contact. Not the creepy, unblinking stare, but the kind that says, I'm here with you fully. There's a reason eye contact is one of the most intimate forms of human connection. It bypasses words and creates a direct line to emotion. When you hold her gaze with calm confidence, you communicate stability, sincerity, and strength. You're not looking over her shoulder for something better. You're not nervously glancing away. You're present, and that presence is magnetic. Then there's listening. Real listening. Most people don't listen. They wait for their turn to speak. But when you listen with the intent to understand rather than to reply, you unlock something rare. You hear the nuances in her voice, the pauses between her words, the things she's not saying outright. And when you reflect those things back, when you ask the right questions, when you show genuine curiosity about her thoughts and experiences, you validate her in a way few others do. You make her feel real in a world that often reduces women to objects or obstacles. But here's the critical part. This isn't a tactic. It's not a trick to win her over. If you approach it that way, she'll sense the manipulation and the connection will crumble. Authenticity is everything. You have to genuinely care about understanding her. You have to be willing to step outside your own ego and enter her world, even if just for a moment. That's the difference between a man who leaves a lasting impression, a man who fades into the background. And let's talk about why this is so powerful from a psychological standpoint. When you make a woman feel seen, you tap into one of her deepest desires, the need to be chosen, not for her looks, not for what she can do for you, but for who she is. That's an intoxicating feeling. It's the difference between being wanted and being valued. Most men want her, few truly value her. And when you demonstrate that you do, when you show her through your attention, your presence, your willingness to engage with her mind and soul, you become irreplaceable. This is where most men fail. They think attraction is about grand gestures or smooth lines, but attraction is built in the micro moments. The way you lean in when she speaks, the way you remember the small details she mentions, the way you make her feel like the most important person in the room without saying a word. Those moments accumulate. They create a narrative in her mind. This man is different. This man sees me. And once that narrative takes hold, no amount of competition can shake it. So here's the challenge for you. The next time you're with a woman, be there. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally. Listen like her words are the only thing that matters. That look at her like she's the only woman in the room. Not because you're trying to get from her, but because you recognize the humanity in her. The struggles, the dreams, the quiet strength that often goes unnoticed. When you do that, you don't just attract her, you elevate her. And in doing so, you elevate yourself. Final thought, the greatest gift you can give a woman isn't your money, your status, or even your hurt. It's your attention, the kind that makes her feel for the first time in a long time like she's truly seen. Master that, you'll master the art of connection. Now, go out there and look at her. Really look. The rest will follow. Let's address something fundamental about human nature. Something that modern dating culture has tried to erase, but that remains as true today as it was 1,000 years ago. People desire what they have to pursue. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about understanding a basic psychological truth that attraction isn't just sparked by presence, but by anticipation. When something is too easily obtained, the brain assigns it less value. When effort is required, when there's a sense of mystery, when the outcome isn't guaranteed, that's when desire intensifies. Now, apply this to relationships. Most men make a critical mistake. They believe that by being overly available, by responding instantly to every text, by showering a woman with attention before she's earned it, they're proving their worth. But here's the paradox. The more you try to prove your worth through constant availability, the less valuable you become in her eyes. Why? Because you've removed the chase. You've eliminated the very thing that makes attraction dynamic, exciting, the uncertainty. This isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about having a life so full, so purpose-driven that you don't need her validation to feel complete. A man who is always available is a man without mission, without depth, and women intuitively, instinctively recognize this. They're drawn to men who are moving towards something, men who aren't waiting around for a text back, men who understand that their time and attention are valuable. Think about it in terms of basic economics. Scarcity increases value. If you're always on demand, if you're always the one initiating, always the one waiting, you've made yourself a commodity, not a prize. But when you're selective with your attention, when you're engaged in your own growth, when you're not afraid to let her wonder about you, that's when she starts to invest. That's when she starts to chase. Now, let's clarify something crucial. This isn't about playing hard to get in a childish way. It's not about ignoring her or pretending you don't care. It's about balance. It's about understanding that attraction thrives in the space between presence and absence. If you're always there, she has no room to miss you. If you're never there, she'll assume you're not interested. The art lies in the middle, being engaged but not desperate, interested but not obsessed. Here's how this works psychologically. When a woman has to wonder about you, when she has to ask herself, does he like me? What's he thinking? Her mind starts working in your favor. She begins to invest emotionally. She starts replaying interactions, analyzing your words, looking for signs. And the more mental energy she spends on you, the more attached she becomes. This isn't manipulation. It's human nature. We value what we put effort into. But there's a deeper layer here, one that most men miss. The chase isn't just about her pursuing you. It's about you being someone worth pursuing. If you're stagnant, if you're predictable, if you're not growing, why would she chase? The chase only works if you're moving forward. If you're a man who is constantly evolving, who has goals, passions, and a life outside of her, that's what makes you intriguing. That's what keeps her coming back. This is where so many men fail. They think attraction is about what they say, the perfect pickup line, the clever text. But attraction is about what you are. Are you a man who is on a mission? Are you someone who commands respect? Not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Are you living in a way that makes her want to be part of your world? That's the real chase. Not playing games, but being so focused on your own path that she has to step up to join you. And here's the most important part. The chase never really ends. Even in a committed relationship, attraction is maintained through continued mystery, through the sense that there's always more to discover about you. If you become complacent, if you stop growing, if you think you've won her and no longer need to challenge yourself, that's when the spark fades. The chase isn't just a phase, it's a mindset. It's the understanding that a relationship isn't a finish line, but a journey where both people are constantly striving, evolving, and choosing each other every day. So how do you apply this? Start by reframing your approach. Don't be the man who is always waiting for her attention. Be the man who is worthy of her attention. Have a life that excites you. Be busy, not as a tactic, but because you're building something meaningful. Let her see that your time is valuable, that your energy is reserved for those who earn it. And when you do, give her your attention, make it count, be fully present, fully engaged, and then return to your purpose. That's how you create the thrill of the chase. Not by playing games, but by being a man who is genuinely, irresistibly worth chasing. Final thought, the chase isn't about making her work for your affection. It's about being a man whose affection is worth working for. Build yourself into someone who doesn't just demand attention, but commands it. Then watch as she not only chases, but chooses to stay. There's a fundamental misunderstanding in modern relationships about what women truly want from a man. It's not just about security or comfort or even passion, though those matter. What women crave at the deepest level is inspiration. They want to be with someone who doesn't just occupy space in their life, but who elevates it. Someone who doesn't just love her as she is, but who sees who she could become and challenges her to rise to that vision. This is where most men fail spectacularly. They think being nice is enough. They believe that by simply agreeing with everything she says, by never pushing back, by creating a frictionless existence, they're being good partners. But that's not partnership. That's a passivity, and passivity is the death of attraction. Women don't fall in love with doormats. They fall in love with men who stand for something, men who have their own moral compass, men who aren't afraid to call forth her highest potential, even when it's uncomfortable. Let's break down why this is so powerful. From a psychological standpoint, human beings are wired to grow. Stagnation is a kind of death. When you inspire a woman, you tap into her deepest evolutionary programming, the drive to partner with someone who will help her face life's challenges more effectively. This isn't about controlling her or molding her into what you want. It's about recognizing that real love isn't just acceptance. It's expectation. The expectation that she can be more, do more, handle more than she even believes possible. Consider this. The women who are most fiercely loyal, most passionately devoted, are not those who were simply pampered and placated. They're the ones who were challenged by their men. The ones who were pushed to face their fears, to develop their strengths, to confront their weaknesses. There's an alchemy that happens when a man looks at a woman and says through his actions more than his words, "I know you're capable of greatness, and I won't let you settle for less." That kind of belief is intoxicating. It creates a bond that superficial affection can't touch. But here's the crucial distinction. This isn't about being critical or demanding. It's about being the kind of man who leads by example. You can't inspire her to grow if you're not growing yourself. You can't push her to face hard truths if you're avoiding your own. This is why personal development isn't selfish. It's actually the most generous thing you can do for your relationships. When she sees you pushing your limits, confronting your fears, taking responsibility for your life, she'll naturally want to rise to meet that standard. Think about the most magnetic men throughout history, not just romantic figures, but leaders, innovators, warriors. What made people follow them wasn't just their power, but their vision. They saw potential in others that those people didn't even see in themselves. That's your task as a man in a woman's life, to be the mirror that reflects back not just who she is, but who she could become. Not through empty flattery, but through genuine belief coupled with the willingness to hold her accountable. This plays out in practical ways every day. It means having the courage to tell her when she's making excuses instead of nodding along. It means encouraging her to take that career risk she's been avoiding. It means refusing to indulge her pettiness or negativity while still being compassionate toward her struggles. It's a balancing act, firm but not harsh, challenging but not cruel. When you get it right, something remarkable happens. She doesn't resent you for pushing her. She respects you for it. More importantly, she respects herself more because of it. There's a neurological basis for this phenomenon. When we're around people who expect more from us, our brains actually rewire themselves to meet those expectations. It's called the Pygmalion effect. We rise or fall to the level of what's expected of us. By being the man who sees and calls forth her best self, you're not just changing how she sees you. You're changing how she sees herself, and that's the most powerful gift you can give anyone. Now, this requires immense strength of character on your part. You have to be willing to risk her temporary displeasure for her long-term growth. You have to be secure enough to know that real connection isn't about always being liked in the moment, but about being respected in the long run. Most men fail here because they're terrified of conflict, terrified of her being upset with them. But that fear makes them weak partners. The strongest relationships aren't those without conflict. They're those where people use friction as fuel for growth. Here's how you put this into action starting today. First, get your own house in order. You can't inspire her to grow if you're not growing yourself. Second, start seeing her not just as she is, but as she could be. Third, have the courage to gently but firmly challenge her when she settles for less than she's capable of. And fourth, this is critical, celebrate her growth when it happens. Recognition reinforces positive change. Final thought, the measure of a man isn't just in how he treats a woman, but in how he transforms her. Not into someone else, but into the best version of herself. Be the kind of man who doesn't just occupy a woman's life, but who elevates it. Do that, and you won't need to chase love. It will chase you. Let's cut through the noise and address the core truth that separates men who command respect from those who beg for attention. Women don't respond to what you say, they respond to what you believe about yourself. This isn't about arrogance or empty bravado. It's about the deep, unshakable certainty that you are exactly where you're supposed to be doing exactly what you're supposed to do. That kind of certainty is magnetic. Not because it demands attention, but because it naturally draws it. Think about the most compelling people you ever met. What made them different? It wasn't their looks or their wealth. It was their conviction. They carried themselves with an invisible weight, a quiet assurance that said, I know who I am and nothing can shake that. That's the foundation of real attraction. Women can sense this certainty from across the room, in the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you hold eye contact. It communicates more than words ever could. This is a man who cannot be moved. Now, let's dissect why this is so powerful from a psychological standpoint. Human beings are hardwired to seek certainty. It's a survival mechanism. In prehistoric times, uncertainty meant danger. Today, that same wiring makes us gravitate toward people who project stability and confidence. When you radiate unshakable certainty, you trigger something primal in a woman's mind. This is a man who can navigate chaos. This is a man who won't crumble under pressure. That's not just attractive, it's necessary for deep, lasting attraction. But here's where most men fail catastrophically. They mistake certainty for certainty about her. They think if I can just convince her I'm the one, she'll choose me. That's backwards. True certainty isn't about her, it's about you. It's the ironclad that you're valuable with or without her approval. That's what makes the difference between neediness and confidence. The needy man is always looking to her for validation. The certain man knows his worth, and that knowing changes everything. This plays out in subtle but crucial ways. The uncertain man hesitates before speaking, worried about saying the wrong thing. The certain man speaks clearly, unconcerned with perfect reactions. The uncertain man seeks constant reassurance. The certain man is the reassurance. One repels, the other attracts, not through effort, but through being. Let's talk about how this manifests in dating, Specifically, the man who's unsure of himself will over-pursue. He'll double text. He'll agree with everything she says. He'll rearrange his schedule at the drop of a hat. Why? Because he's terrified of losing her attention. The certain man, he's engaged but not desperate, interested but not invested. He knows that if it doesn't work out with her, he'll be fine, and that very knowledge makes it more likely to work out. There's a neurological reason for this paradox. When you're truly certain of your own value, you activate what's called reciprocal liking. People tend to like those who don't desperately seek their approval. It's not a trick. It's human nature. We're drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin because that comfort is contagious. When you're certain, she relaxes. When you're unsure, she tenses. Your energy dictates the entire interaction. Now, here's the critical distinction. Certainty isn't the same as inflexibility. It's not about being stubborn or closed-minded. It's about having a core so solid that external circumstances don't dictate your self-worth. The certain man can be wrong and admit it because his confidence isn't based on perfection. He can change his mind because his identity isn't tied to being right. That's real strength, the ability to adapt without crumbling. This brings us to the most important point. Certainty is earned, not faked. You can't simply act certain, you have to become certain. And that only clears through achievement, through overcoming challenges, through developing real competence in the world. That's why personal growth isn't optional, it's the foundation of everything. When you face difficult things and prevailed, when you've built skills and discipline, you know what you're capable of. That knowledge can't be taken from you. So how do you cultivate this quality? Start by getting ruthlessly honest about where you're pretending. Where are you seeking validation? Where are you acting from fear rather than conviction? Then build real evidence for your confidence. Take on challenges, develop mastery, push your limits. Certainty grows in proportion to your demonstrated ability to handle life. Finally, practice carrying yourself like a man who belongs wherever he is because you do, not arrogantly, but naturally. Final thought, the most attractive thing you can offer a woman isn't your attention, your resources, or even your affection. It's your certainty. Not certainty that she'll choose you, but certainty that you'll be fine either way. Cultivate that and you won't need to chase. You'll be the one worth chasing. The choice is yours. Will you live as a question mark or as an exclamation point? Act accordingly.